Over the years, various strange events have been reported. Although the majority of these do eventually get solved, there's a few that have left researchers with more questions than answers. So today, here at Unexplained Mysteries, we'll be taking a look at these 3 mysterious events. The Shag Harbor UFO Incident. The Shag Harbor incident took place over half a century ago, but it continues to draw in believers in the unknown and mystery lovers. The incident took place in Shag Harbor, a tiny fishing village on the Atlantic coast on the evening of October 4th in 1967. A group of locals reported seeing a low-flying and brightly lit object soaring through the sky towards Shag Harbor before it crashed and sank into the sea. Laurie Wickens, one of the locals who experienced the strange event, described how he initially assumed the flying object was a crashing plane. He described how he continued to see the object floating 1.5 miles from the shore for around an hour and leaving a trail of yellow foam. Ralph Lowinger was actually co-piloting a cargo plane from New York to London on the night and also described seeing a formation of bluish-white lights that was slanted from upper left to lower right, that he identified as a big airplane with all of its lights on. With so many credible witness reports, the public intrigue of what had fallen from the sky grew stronger and many people became determined to find an explanation. Norman Smith was one of those people and describes how he and his father and uncle jumped into a fishing boat and sailed to the spot where the object had crashed into the sea. They were soon joined by the Canadian Coast Guard, who helped them search for any wreckage, but nothing was uncovered. The next day, divers were sent down to explore further, but once again resurfaced with no new information. It was only years later when diver David Svet surveyed the ocean floor of the harbour that underwater anomalies in the area where the object crashed were discovered. Svet described these anomalies as a depression in the ocean floor the size of a perfectly circular dinner plate, with the centre being about a foot deep. This exciting news proved that an object had crashed in this location, but was still not enough to identify what the object was. The most popular theory was that the crashing object must have been a fallen aeroplane, as Wickens and Lowinger had presumed. However, when the nearest Canadian Forces base was contacted, they stated that no missing aircraft had been reported that evening. Many theorists claim that the lack of answers of what the flying object was is due to a government cover-up. They argue that it is too coincidental that a secret US military base monitoring subterranean and underwater frequency for Russian submarine activity was just 30 minutes from the site where the object crashed and sank. Either way, there is still no definitive answer to what the object that soared through the sky and crashed in the ocean near Shag Harbor actually was. The Cando Event. Cando is a small village in the northwest of Spain with a population of just over 1,000 people. The village has few distinguishing characteristics that would separate it from most Spanish villages. However, events on January 18, 1994 brought Cando to the public spotlight. On that evening, witnesses claimed to see a fireball in the sky that lasted for almost 1 minute. The fireball was said to be the size of a full moon and led many to assume it was some kind of meteor. The situation grew even stranger when subsequently a large explosion crater was discovered nearby. This crater was discovered in a hillside close to the village and had uprooted all trees in a 100-meter diameter and displaced up to 200 meters of terrain. However, what was never found was any trace of meteorites or any other object that could have caused this damage. Many were startled at how similar the scene looked to a Tunguska explosion in 1908 that flattened around 80 million trees and killed 3 people. Like the Cando event, the most popular explanation for the events were that there must have been some type of meteoroid, but once again no remnant of a meteor was discovered. Many believed that the meteor in Tunguska disintegrated in the altitude before it ever hit Earth. A similar explanation has been put forward for the Cando incident, but has not been as widely accepted. Hopes were raised further when an official investigation from the astronomy department of the University of Santiago de Compostela was opened for the events in Cando. Their findings were published in the Journal of Meteoritics and Planetary Science in 1998 and went against the meteorite explanation. The team concluded that the incident might have been caused by a blast of subterranean gases, which removed the topsoil when it suddenly exploded and soared into the air. When it rose into the air, an electric charge would have been created that would have been sufficient to ignite the gases and created the fireball-like scene that witnesses had described. However, this has not stopped other theorists arguing that the Kando event was the result of a military operation or alien activities. The Mantell UFO Incident. Captain Thomas Mantell was an experienced pilot, boasting a flight history of 2,167 hours in the air. Many of these hours had been served during World War II, where he fought for the Allies in the Battle of Normandy and was rewarded with the Distinguished Flying Cross and Air Medal for his heroism. In 1947, he returned to Louisville and joined the new Kentucky Air National Guard as a flight leader. However, less than a year into the new job, Mantell's career ended in tragedy when he died in pursuit of an unknown flying object. The object was seen by several of Mantell's colleagues. Base Commander Colonel Guy Hicks reported it was very white and about 1/4 the size of the full moon, while observers at Clinton County Army Airfield in Ohio described it as having the appearance of a flaming red cone trailing a gaseous green mist, with a speed greater than 500 miles per hour in level flight. It was also seen by the Kentucky State Police, who contacted Captain Mantell requesting for him to investigate the object. Alongside 2 colleagues, Mantell set off in pursuit of the large white object. When his colleagues informed him they were going to retreat and level their altitude to try and see the object more clearly, Mantell ignored them, pursuing the object in a steep climb and at a high altitude. Unfortunately, while at this altitude, Mantell blacked out from a lack of oxygen, and he and his plane crashed at a farm south of Franklin on the Tennessee-Kentucky state line. Mantell died on impact. Mantell's death was tragic, but also a monumental occasion in UFO history. Before this point, there had been only a few cases reporting unidentified flying objects, and most of these cases had been dismissed by the public as fads or the delusional sightings of insane men and women. However, Mantell was a highly respected pilot, and the fact he had laid down his own life to determine what the object was resulted in an increased public concern about UFO phenomena. The official response from the Air Force line where Mantell worked was that the object he had seen was actually Venus. However, this theory has been attacked by others who argue that on the date of Mantell's death, Venus was only 33 degrees above the horizon and thus would not have been visible to Mantell. An official investigation was later opened, named Project Blue Book, that concluded that the object Mantell had been chasing was a skyhook balloon and part of a top-secret project that neither Mantell nor his colleagues would have known about. These skyhook balloons were being used by the Navy to measure radiation levels in the upper atmosphere. The skyhook balloon finding has largely been accepted, however, there are still some skeptics. For example, eyewitness Glenn Mays insists that Mantell was the victim of an attack as he swears he saw Mantell's plane explode in mid-air as if the result of a bullet. His argument is supported by James Dusler, who states that the damage pattern on Mantell's plane was not consistent with an aircraft crashing at high speed, but instead one that belly flopped into the clearing, as if it was shot down. There are even some who say that when Mantell's body was found, it was riddled with strange holes, which might have been bullet holes. Whether you accept the official line that Mantell was chasing after a skyhook balloon or believe he was the victim of a weapon, what Mantell was chasing that day remains ambiguous. But what do you make of these mysterious events? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us by growing this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.